Hey all, it is Liz here again with Family by Design. I can't wait for you to tune into this episode. Kent and I are going to have conversation around breaking free of comparison. There's so many good things in here. Make sure you listen.
Hey, this is a great thing to talk about because everybody deals with this.
Everybody.
And when I say everybody, I mean everybody. Men deal with it. Women deal with it. Children deal with it. Old people deal with it. Like everybody, every age, both genders. I was going to say every gender, but both genders. Let's be clear.
Let's be specific.
There's only two. So, and that is the comparison and just the trap of comparison.
And it is a trap.
And this fits into our series about, foundations and identity.
That's right.
Because comparison is something that is really at the core of people.
Really, of who you think you are.
The only thing we're supposed to compare ourselves to is what the Lord says about us.
Yeah.
That's it. And beyond that, we should not be comparing. And Paul in particular warns us. He said, those who compare themselves among themselves are not wise. So it's not a wise thing to look at yourself and look at somebody else and say, well, they're there and I want to be there. Or, wow, I'm here and they're just not very far away. Either one of those scenarios is not a good thing, but it really is a trap that people fall into.
Yeah, and it keeps you reeling and striving, and it can birth frustration, unworth, where you're trying to achieve and you're trying to perform. And really what happens is we become unauthentic people.
Yeah.
When we are trying to be somebody else or run somebody else's race or be some other couple or be some other parent, we'll never show up and be who we're supposed to be.
Right.
And that is a ploy of the enemy to rob you and your marriage and your family and your parenting and life in general.
Right.
Comparison robs you. Comparison lies to you. And so we have to become so aware of when we begin to compare ourselves. Anytime we're trying to do something like somebody else to get their results, we're in comparison.
Yeah.
Now, I think it is good to ask when you see fruit that you like of somebody else's marriage, of somebody else's parenting, or is not to then try to figure out on your own how to get that fruit, but then begin to identify the fruit and say, how do I get
ask.
there?
It's wisdom to ask.
It's
right.
wisdom to ask. But oftentimes, because we're this is a good key to know when you're in comparison. If you cannot go to that person and ask them how they're bearing the fruit that they are, then you're probably in comparison.
Probably.
Because you feel insecure about where you're at. You sometimes this is how comparison shows up too, is you're like, I don't like them. They think they're better than me.
Yeah, it shows up as jealousy.
Yes. Yeah. We wouldn't, sometimes that's sneaky and that doesn't feel like that. But like, I can remember a time when the Lord was wanting me to produce a particular fruit. And he told me, he said, I want you to begin to listen to this person and watch this person. It wasn't somebody that I had like relationship with. It was just somebody that I was supposed to gain some wisdom from. And I found myself having a hard time wanting to listen to them. And then I guess I was maybe dealing with some jealousy and some comparison of like, oh, I don't do things like that. And I'm not sure that I should do some things like that. And why they say, and I realized actually I was on a run and I was kind of, battling, and the Lord's like, you're in comparison right now. And that's wrong. And I was like, oh my God.
And think about what it opened up to. It also opened up to probably some jealousy,
Yes.
some pride. Like
Yes.
there was a number of things there. So this is not only not a healthy way to live, it's dangerous.
It's so dangerous. Like, so immediately, I remember I was so close to even being home. I just repented from that, and then I said, "Okay, Lord, show me how to bear the fruit that it is that you're wanting me to glean." And I at that point, then I had to in myself begin by watching this person and listening to this person. I began to confront those things of jealousy. I began to confront some insecurity I had because I was even saying like, well, I'm not like them and I'm not as pretty as them. And I'm not going to be able to do the things that they're able to do and all these things. And I was like, those are actually maybe some core beliefs that I have that I didn't know that I had that need to be ripped out, and then I need new framework developed. Because if the Lord is saying, I want you to bear that fruit, then he's saying you are deserving of that fruit and that you can do it and that you don't have to compare yourself and that there are things I want to put in you so that you can do the things that it is that I've called and created you to do. And if we get into this comparison, then we can't do those things. And I mean, I haven't let you talk very much, but like, I could go on and on of how this has showed up like in our marriage, how it showed up, not necessarily like with you, but like just with things within inside of me that I didn't realize were in me until I realized that I was dealing with comparison and that it was like something that was swirling and trying to become foundational things that I had to journey with the Lord and ripping out.
This is a joy stealer. Because
Yes.
if you live in a place of always like, well, they have this, I need that, or they walk this way, I need to walk, whatever
Right.
it is, then you're never just going to be satisfied with how God made you.
Yes.
Yeah.
That is so
And
good.
we're supposed to live, and I believe the atmosphere of heaven is permeated with love, joy, peace. I think those things operate really strong in heaven. So we're supposed to experience that here.
Right.
Well, one of the things that will rob us from joy and peace and even experiencing the love of God is when we get in this place of comparison, because we're outside of being satisfied with what he is saying. We may not even be aware of what he says about us, but if we are, we've removed ourselves from that. And now we're looking at, well, I need this, I need to think this way, or I need to drive this car, or I mean, it literally can be a whole long list of different things, whether it be physical things that we have, an area that we live in, a job that we have, the fruit we see in our children. People deal with this when it comes to parenting. They're like, man, look at that kid's going to an Ivy League school. And my kid's,
Barely reading.
working on a farm or whatever. But we have to realize that the Lord doesn't call everybody to do the same thing.
That's right.
He's not made us to be just a bunch of robots that function a
That's right.
particular way. And if you're not functioning like that, then you're malfunctioning. That's not it. Those are not the right ways to look at things. He's made people, and we say this, but sometimes I don't think that people really get it. He's made us unique.
Right.
As a minister, I have found this to be incredibly important. And the only reason I can stand up and minister at all is because several years ago, I identified comparison things with me as a minister with other ministers. And there's just a little measure there that's good. And that is what you talked about, just about gaining wisdom and,
Right.
being able to have some of that same fruit in your life as you see in somebody else's. But that's it. That's as far as that goes. But I would watch how certain people would do things and how they would flow in the gifts and how they would preach and how they all this tell jokes. I still tell jokes and nobody laughs, but it's actually, that is the joke, is for me telling jokes. But when it comes to just being who I am, I had to learn to just be who I am.
And be okay with it.
Yes. And there's another thing that ties into the comparison thing too, and that is also the fear of man.
Yes.
because
Come on.
I always felt like when it came, and I'm being very specific here for me, when it came to preaching and teaching, I always felt like I was never enough or that I was too much. And so I'm like, how do I come in and be in the room and not be too overzealous for people, but I also want to make sure, and I'm like, forget all that. Be Kent Ward,
That's right.
the one that God created you to be. Be who you are, carry the personality that you have, continue to sharpen your sword, renew your mind, but be who you are.
And be okay with it.
I have in my office, and I'm going to do something with it to where it doesn't look too,
Tacky.
you don't even know what I'm going to do.
No, I don't.
No, so let me finish. So I have in my office, I'm going to do something with that I was going to say doesn't look too self-promoting.
Oh, okay.
But I have my birth certificate, and I was looking at it one day, and I felt like the Lord said to me, that was the greatest day of your life.
Oh, how
And it's
sweet.
because when I was born, and I'm just speaking for me, okay? When I was born, and you could take it back to conception or whatever, but I don't have a picture of conception. I have a picture
Thank
of
God
yeah,
for
thank
that.
God.
Nobody wants
Dodged
that.
the bullet. Anyways, I wasn't gonna say it. Way to go, Liz. Anyways, so I have a picture of right after I came out of the womb, and so I think that's why the Lord was just using this. That if I had not been born, then I would not have been able to be the person that the Lord fashioned and envisioned for me to be. And the way that he fashioned me, the way that he fashioned all of us, and the fact that he has a book with all of his plans for us already written out. He's predestined us. That doesn't mean that we can't mess it up or not obey him or whatever, but he has a destiny predetermined for us to walk in and follow, and it's only good. If we start comparing ourselves to somebody else and their journey and their walk, we're saying, without saying it, we're saying, I don't like what I got. I want what somebody else has.
Right.
And for me, I looked at my birth certificate and I was like, that's the best day ever.
It is.
It's the best day ever because the Lord brought me into this earth to be the person he's called me to be, and then ultimately to do the things that he's called me to do.
That's so
And so
good.
it's a physical picture, but it's like, and for me, not everybody would need to do something like that, but for me, I've had such a battle for my identity. Everybody does, but some people have a more intense one. I've had a very intense battle
Right.
to have a healthy view of me, to really capture God's view of me. And I don't have time to go into all as to why that is. But part of my journey now is I look at my picture of me in the hospital, March the 23rd, 1982. I almost said 1968 because that's what Andrew Womack says. That's when he had his crazy encounter with the Lord. I was
right.
negative years then.
Yeah.
March the 23rd, 1982. That was a day in history for me
Yes.
because I came into this earth and the Lord said, what I made is good, it's right, and it's exactly what I want.
Yeah.
I don't have to be anybody else, and I don't need to be any other kind of preacher. Because when he formed me in my mother's womb, he formed me and fashioned me for a purpose.
That's right.
And if he wanted me to preach and teach like Andrew Womack or, Reinhard Bonnke or something, then he would have made me like that.
That's
he
right.
didn't. He made me like he made me. This is what's been able to allow me to be on, and now we're starting to come into this, to be on platforms with people that are beyond me.
Right.
But stand up and minister with confidence anyways. Why? Because I'm not them. I'm me.
And they're not you.
And they're not me. I'm me.
That's right. There's so much more that I want to kind of unpackage in regards to comparison because it's such a huge topic. And if we don't identify some of these things, we don't maybe realize that we're in comparison and how detrimental it is to us. So tune into the next episode. It's going to be great.
Yeah, it'd be great. Thanks for tuning in to Family by Design. We're so thankful you took this time to listen and participate with Liz and I as we discuss these very important things concerning marriage and family. If you're blessed by this ministry, in particular this podcast, we'd love it if you would leave a review. It'll absolutely help boost our ratings and help other people to be able to find this podcast to bless them as well. We want to give a special thanks to our partners. Those of you that partner with Ward Ministries, you make this possible. If you'd like more information about partnership, you'd like to become a partner with us, you can go to wardmen.org and find all the information there, as well as other resources. So we bless you in the name of the Lord. Thanks for tuning in.